Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
I had a stupid joke that I meant to tell you last week, and I forgot. So, what did the O say to the Q?
I don't know.
You sick fuck. Tuck that back in. This little thing sticking out the bottom there.
Oh my god. That's
Stupid joke.
that's horrible.
Well, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Stupid.
That's really stupid.
Okay. So I did happy hour.
Awesome.
And I also picked one that you have not seen.
Okay.
And this was a bit of a surprise to me because I chose a documentary and I turned it on and it turns out it was a 3-episode series. So they were like 3-hour-long parts to this. So we will probably cut this in half. So we'll do part 2 next week.
Okay.
So I chose Don't Pick Up the Phone. It's on Netflix, and it is a true crime. I went true crime this week.
Okay.
With the documentary.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay. So I'm just going to tell you about it. Episode 1 starts off with the title of the documentary, and it shows a male picking up the receiver to a payphone and dialing. This is the intro. Okay. Then it shows a shot of a McDonald's sign. And we start to hear the news report, quote, "Now to an unbelievable hoax that police are saying many people fell victim to. A caller pretending to be a police officer was apparently convincing enough to talk some of the managers into sexually abusing some of their fast food employees."
You know what? I think I've heard of this, but
Yeah.
I have not seen the documentary on it. I've heard something about it before though.
Right. And this happened in late 90s, early 2000s. So, but we'll get to why you didn't really hear much about it. Okay, so then we get to a clip of a girl, and she's stating that she was told if she didn't submit to this search, she would be arrested or lose her job or both. And they have video of all this happening. Okay, this one particular girl. The police are still shocked, never seen anything like it, and haven't seen anything since. Then the people that fell for this are on camera, and they're telling us that the guy on the phone is telling them everything to do, take off clothes. She states that there probably wasn't an area that he didn't touch on her. Okay, so we're just hearing clips from these victims.
Yeah.
Okay. So they had the person that's calling, had the person that was talking to them describe these workers, what they looked like, what everything looked like, even the size of her bra. And then they also said that they were checking her for drugs, which doesn't go along with what is coming up. Okay. This guy was amazing at the psychology that he was presenting through the phone. And there was no way to know who this guy was, but they knew that this was a very bad guy. Okay. That's what the police have come up with so far. They didn't know who he was, but they knew he was fucking bad and he was capable of doing bad things. He committed the perfect crime. No one knows who he is, and there's really no way to find him. But now they have a sexual predator on the loose, and calls are still coming in every day. Okay, so that was kind of just like an intro, and now we are in Mount Washington, Kentucky. This is a good place to live, not a lot of crime. Then retired detective Buddy Stump is his name, don't. He comes on camera. I know, right? He needs to be like a horror movie actor.
Oh, poor guy.
I know. He's actually kind of like, he's super old, but he's kind of cute. Like you could tell he was cute when he was younger. So he comes on camera and he's driving through his little town He was at home, he said, minding my own business, when he got this call about this McDonald's case. So he was assistant chief at the time. So he got the call and he asked him what he was doing. Said he didn't know how to explain to him, but some bad stuff was happening and they needed him to come in. So this was April 9th, 2004. He was a rookie detective at the time. He'd only been at it for 3 weeks at this point. So he goes to this McDonald's. They are still doing business, like customers everywhere. Of course they are. Mm-hmm. Cop cars everywhere, and people coming and going. He goes through the kitchen and back down a hallway. He said it was crazy. He said people were running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And in the atmosphere, he could feel that everyone was upset. So something was happening and they couldn't believe it had happened. That was the impression that he was getting. He saw the victim in the back office with her head hanging down, so she was obviously upset. The manager was upset. The assistant manager was upset. And he was thinking, what the hell have they got me into? Like, what the fuck is going on? So they were trying to explain what was going on, but what they were saying didn't make sense to him. He couldn't comprehend what the fuck they were telling him. None of it made sense. One thing that he did get was there was a phone call, and then they tell him that there's video of exactly what happened. And he's like, what? What the fuck? So they have CCTV footage of everything that happened. He's like, okay, let's see it. They start the video. There's no sound, but the assistant manager, Donna Summers, you can hear her on the phone, or you can see her on the phone call. Then we see Connie Leonard. And I also want to bring up, this is a lot like the last documentary I watched where they just switch back and forth so much. Mm-hmm. So try and keep up with me on that. I apologize. But we have Connie Leonard on here. She is a news anchor. And she starts talking about Donna's side of the story.
And Donna is
the assistant manager. Okay. She is the one that originally takes this call.
Okay.
So one night, Donna answered the phone call at the restaurant she works at. It's a police officer with the Mount Washington Police, which is where she lives, the small town that they're in Kentucky. And she's about a mile away from Mount Washington. He says he has her manager and also a corporate representative of the McDonald's that she works at on the phone with him. So she thinks there's a police officer, her manager, and then a corporate representative for her job. He has some very serious business to talk about. One of the employees has been accused of stealing money from a wallet from one of the customers from there, and describes the employee as petite with dark hair. Very fucking vague. Mm-hmm. And Donna is like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. She's right here. So Buddy's back. And he's describing this video that he's watching and says, you can see the young lady go into the office and they talk a bit back and forth. And the young lady is Louise Ogborn. She is 18 years old. She's working there because her mom has health issues and she just recently lost her job. And she wanted to help out her family to not be homeless. So really good girl doing what she's supposed to be doing. Young, 18 years old. She also was not scheduled to work that night. So they were extremely busy and she offered to help with the dinner rush. She wasn't even supposed to be there. So Donna takes her back into the office and now here we have Louise talking about what happened in 2007. And she says that she had been accused of stealing some money out of a customer's purse, which she was obviously upset at the thought of someone calling and telling lies about her, obviously.
Yeah.
The person on the phone tells Donna that they can do one of two things. They can come and arrest her at the restaurant, or if she wants to help them out, they need her to conduct a strip search to see if she has the money on her. So Louise is back talking, and she starts describing what happened next. So Donna told her to empty everything out of her pockets. You can see her on this video start taking everything out of her pockets, putting it on the desk, and then she turns her pockets inside out. So, like, obviously she has nothing on her. Mm-hmm. So Buddy comes back and is talking again and says that another assistant manager comes in at this time and they start putting trash bags over the windows and doors. So you couldn't see in from the hallway and see what's going on. So Connie's back now and says that it's really hard to know what Donna was going through at this time. Most people say that I would never believe a person on the phone telling me to conduct a strip search, but the sounds very legitimate. He's calm, giving instructions, sounds authoritative, and Donna is obeying all of these commands. Even Louise is hesitant, but she still complies. She's saying that she hasn't done anything, but probably figures, okay, if I do this, they'll leave me the fuck alone. I obviously don't have anything on me.
And she's only 18.
She's 18 fucking years old and obviously loves to help people. She wants to do the right thing. She's a good girl. So this whole thing is fucking infuriating. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Buddy comes back and says that after that, it just becomes more bizarre. First, one article of clothing comes off, then another, and then he's like, what the hell is going on right now? He cannot fucking believe what he's watching. Next thing he knows, she has nothing on but underwear, and then those fucking come off too.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, okay, now we have a completely naked woman standing in a McDonald's office. What is going to happen next? And can't imagine what he's thinking. I can't imagine what he's thinking right now. Okay, so now they are an hour into this call. Okay. She's still in there with nothing. They give her an apron to cover herself up, and she is trying her best to cover herself up with this apron, but it's a fucking apron. And then we go back to Louise. In 2007, we hear her interview, and she's saying pretty much the same thing. She's sitting in there with nothing on, obviously mortified. Then Buddy says that he watches them bag up her personal stuff and take it out of the room. The person on the phone told Donna to take her stuff, including her car keys, and take them to her car.
Her clothes and everything?
Yeah. So Louise realizes now that she has to get through a restaurant full of customers to her car with nothing on. And then what? She's fucking stuck where she's at right now.
Wait, so the 18-year-old girl has to go put her stuff in her car?
No, they did it for her. But she's now stuck in this office with nothing but an apron barely covering her. And she realizes, if I am to get out of this office, I now have to get through a crowded restaurant full of people out to my car across the restaurant or across the parking lot. And then what? What are her fucking options right now?
The whole thing is just ridiculous.
It's insane. Okay, so now Louise is talking again, and she doesn't know if someone is waiting for her now, but she has no choice to wait, or no choice but to wait. So Buddy's back on and says that she hasn't just been victimized with this strip search, but now she's a fucking prisoner in her own place of employment. You can see on her face how upset she is, and she's crying. She's traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
It is horrible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll get into it. It's horrible.
It makes you wonder what, whenever you hear stories, what would you do in a situation like that?
Well, and later on, I'm going to talk about, they do go into it, because that's the first thing that everyone thinks, there's no fucking way I would ever fall for something like that. But we'll talk about that. Okay, so talking about Louise, she was a good girl. She grew up in a strict military household and always did what she was told. She was taught that it doesn't matter if an adult tells you to do something, you do it, no questions asked, which is how a lot of people, especially in the Midwest, were raised.
Yeah.
We were raised to respect our elders, period. Okay, so then we're back to the surveillance video, and you see a man come into the office. It's a middle-aged man, no uniform, no apron. And Buddy's like, okay, this guy is not a McDonald's employee, so what's he doing there? Is he in on this? So at this point in the video that, Buddy's still watching, hours have passed while all this is going on, and they're still on this call. They're still on the phone with this dude. And Donna is also trying to run a busy restaurant at the same time, and she starts asking questions as to why is this taking so long? And he always has an answer for whatever she has to say. We're on our way. We don't have many people working today, so just bear with us. And he sounds legit to Donna, but she also has to get back to work. She's got a job to do. So this guy tells her, well, do you have a man in your life that you trust? Husband, boyfriend, someone you can bring in to watch her until we get there? And Donna says, yeah.
Oh my God.
My fiance, Walter. He can come in. Why the fuck not?
What the fuck?
Oh my God, I know. Donna is a fucking moron.
Yes.
And it's so hard to say that because you honestly don't know how you would react in this situation. And like I've said before on the podcast, phone calls freak me the fuck out. I don't know why. I can't see these people. And, now that I'm older, I definitely, and I can specifically remember how I thought when I was 18, 19 years old. I remember immediately jumping to things a lot. Mm-hmm. Now, as I'm getting older, I stop. I think in a process. I think things through. It's very different now.
Yeah.
Donna is my age. Okay, taking this call. Also, her fiance Walter is an old man. Keep that in mind. But also, you never know how you're going to react in these situations.
God, I would hope I wouldn't just take some person on the phone's word.
Especially asking to do something horrific.
Yes.
For hours.
Yeah.
Hours. And then bring in a man? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. That is where I would be like, okay. No, I'm going to give her fucking clothes back and she can sit here and wait on you guys.
I would hope, anyway, that I would have stopped it before the clothes thing.
Absolutely.
I would have been like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and then
we'll just wait for you to get here.
Exactly. That was my point the entire time I was watching it. I was like, I would immediately say, absolutely not. I will wait for you. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Like,
so you can come in, show me your credentials.
Absolutely. And then if you need, I don't see why that's necessary. I'm not a policeman.
Well, especially, this was early 2000. That's still, no. Police wouldn't do that.
Exactly. They would never call you over the fucking phone.
They wouldn't call you over the phone. And especially for something, a supposed crime.
Right.
Of stealing some money out of a wallet.
Someone's word for it.
They're not going to have you strip search somebody. They wouldn't have your boss strip search you.
Absolutely. And see, that's my point when it comes to the age thing. I could see, if I was a 20-year-old manager, I could honestly see myself doing something just trusting someone that says they're an authority figure. But
you said she's your age, right?
The manager that took the call was our age.
That's unacceptable.
It's absolutely unacceptable. You should know by that time in your life that there's a process to things.
Yeah.
Cops especially don't do shit like that.
Well, not only, they don't do stuff like that over such a small crime. Stealing money from someone's wallet is not... You're not going to be strip searched for something like that.
Absolutely not.
Period.
And it was $50.
It's so... This woman was a fucking idiot.
She is. And well, it gets better.
Oh my God.
It gets better.
Oh my God.
And Unfortunately, she's not the only idiot
Oh, God.
in this situation. It's gonna blow your fucking mind. Okay, and it gets worse. It gets so much fucking worse with old people that should know better. Doing this to an 18-year-old girl. Oh my God, I hate it. Okay, so she's like, yeah, I can fucking bring my fiance in, Walter. So Buddy's back on, and he says, you know...
Okay,
like,
sorry.
yeah.
Just the fact that she's willing to bring in her fiance into a room with an 18-year-old naked girl.
Mm-hmm.
That alone, I mean, she's a fucking idiot.
I know. Oh, God, listen to how dumb her fucking fiance is.
Oh, my God.
It gets so much worse, Jody. Oh, my
Okay.
God. Okay, listen. So Buddy's back, and he's like, what part of this did you think that this was the right thing to do? Like, he's like, what the actual fuck? So Donna leaves. She's working. And Walter takes the phone, and he's listening to this guy give instructions, and he tells her that she needs to drop the apron. Which she does, and Walter takes it.
Oh, of course Walter does, because Walter's a douche.
Then
Male.
Yeah. Then the police officer says, well, we need her to do some jumping jacks.
What? No.
Yeah. Run in place, have her shake. We need to see if she's hiding anything. She's naked. She's naked. This has been going on now for nearly 2 hours.
Was Walter in on this?
Listen, just keep out. So she, jumping, shaking, standing on the desk chair, just goes on and on and on. During this time, from time to time, Donna would go back into the office, and you can see every time that Louise is able to cover herself back up with the apron, so Donna doesn't think anything new is going on. Now Louise is getting worn down mentally at this point, obviously.
Yeah.
It would have taken me 2 minutes to be like, fuck this. And she's also getting zero help from Donna, this woman that is her manager that is supposed to be protecting her employees. And she's doing literally the exact opposite. At one point, you can see Donna come in the room, and Louise is not covered and very close to Walter, and she still does nothing. Nothing is done by anyone. Louise has to feel so fucking alone, and she says she was doing what she had to at this point to survive. She thinks that her life is ending. Like, she's so worn down at this point. She even talks to the guy on the phone at one point. And the caller is telling her to say yes sir, no sir, and if she doesn't, she'll get punished.
Oh my God.
She's petrified, and she literally thinks that she's going to die. Well, Buddy comes back on and is talking about Walter Nix. So Walter Nix is the fiance. From all accounts, was an upstanding guy, family man, churchgoer. He was even a little league coach, and everyone trusted him. But evidently, he was so out of his element with this guy talking to him on the phone, every moral fiber that he had was lost. And the more the video goes on, the worse it gets. He had the young lady bend over his lap and was spanking her. She's naked, by the way, to the point where you could see red marks on the video. The spanking goes on for like 20 minutes. Poor Louise is scared, humiliated, probably furious and fearing for her life, simply doesn't know what is going on and getting no help from any grown people.
It is fucking ridiculous.
It's beyond. So we hear her talking again, and she says that she was crying the entire time. He had already hit her, beat her, and didn't know what else he would do. She was too scared to stand up for herself. And as the video goes on, Buddy says that it turned into a dark hour. Okay, so this was after all this. The last hour was the dark one.
Oh my gosh.
So Walter is then instructed to have her sit on his lap, and he needs to check her for alcohol on her breath. So he needs to give her a kiss.
Oh my God.
For the next hour, he's going through all kinds of things until he tells Walter to perform a sexual act, and Walter tells her to do so. He had her perform oral sex on him.
There is no way Walter is not involved in this.
He's not. He's not. He's just a fucking piece of shit that allows a phone call to eliminate any moral fiber that he had. A phone call. He was a churchgoer, too. Let me point that out.
Wow.
Very, very susceptible to believe bullshit. Oh. Louise says she was numb. She had to disassociate herself. She went to another place. Obviously, she was being fucking raped.
Mm-hmm.
But he cannot believe what he is saying, and he is fucking pissed.
He should be.
This young lady has been physically, sexually assaulted, and he's thinking, what am I going to do? He's the chief of police. So at some point, this Walter guy must have realized that he did something fucked up, so he takes off.
Oh, well, of course.
And Buddy has seen enough, and he knows that he has a felony that has occurred, and he told his officers to go to Walter's house and bring him to the station because he now doesn't have just the guy that's on fault or at fault, but he's got Walter as well.
Yep. And fucking Donna, too.
Absolutely. Which, they go to trial, so. So just because some fucker on the phone is telling you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. So now Donna's like, what am I going to do? Because I got this guy on the phone and tells me that I need someone to watch this little girl for no reason. So I better get some other random man to sit with this naked girl. Obviously, right? That's like what you do, right? So she brings in the off-duty custodial worker.
No.
He gets on the phone, hears a few words from this guy, immediately says absolutely fucking not.
Oh, good.
And hangs the phone up. He's like, this isn't right.
The one person.
Yeah, one person finally, after 3 hours on the phone. One person.
He deserves a medal.
He fucking does. So he's the only one with enough common sense so far to tell Donna that it's not real. And she's like, oh, what?
What an idiot. Oh my gosh.
And then finally everything stops. Then they realize they've been scammed.
You think?
Okay, so Buddy starts to wonder who this guy is that made this call. Surely he's not an officer. How can they get anything out of someone calling on the phone? Mm-hmm. So he thought it must be the power that he wants to feel. Like, what else is he getting on? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? So it has to be the power. He knew he was able to get these people's heads and have them actually comply, which is fucking crazy.
I wonder if he called other places first. And they're like, no.
He absolutely practiced this.
Yeah.
We'll get to how many fucking calls there were.
Oh, okay.
So now he knows that he has to take the victim's statement. This man is so emotional throughout this whole thing. You can tell it really fucking bothered him. And he felt so bad for Louise. He's almost crying when he states that he sat across from looked her in the eye, and realized it was his neighbor.
No.
He knew her.
Oh my gosh.
And he's still really trying hard not to cry.
Yeah.
And he was like, Louise. And she was like, yeah, buddy, it's me.
Oh.
So he was friends with her dad, and that hit him really hard. The case became very personal. He was pissed before. Now, really fucking pissed. Gave him more drive and determination. He said, I'm going to find who the hell did this, and I'm going to put their ass in jail. So he was only an officer for 3 weeks at this point, and he's never even seen a case like this one. They needed to find out where this call was coming from before they could even figure out how to solve it. The caller appeared to know exactly what was going on in that office, so they concluded that he had to be nearby.
Mm-hmm.
After he took all the witness statements, he went back to the McDonald's. Now, at this time, cell phones were around, but hardly anyone had them, and payphones were used still on a daily basis. So he sees a payphone in front of a Winn-Dixie that was across the street from the McDonald's, and you can see the McDonald's from the payphone. So He thought this was the best possibility because he figured that the guy would want to watch the building to see how he was doing, get that power trip. And this whole time, Buddy's thinking, what the fuck? Why would this guy want to do? Like, why? What could he possibly be getting out of this? Other than power, like, what the fuck? He thought he could possibly be a disgruntled former employee or someone maybe that knew Louise and was trying to play a prank on her for revenge or something stupid. He just didn't know at this point. He said his mind was running in 20 different directions. He just didn't know. So his next shift, he went through the witness statements to see if he could find anything that would help him in any way. At first he thought, this is a needle in a haystack situation. Like, what the fuck was he going to do? Then he decided to search the internet. Got to remember, at this time, the internet was still very new. So this isn't something that would be like a no-brainer at this time. Yeah. So he kind of had to think, well, maybe I should look it up. So he searches McDonald's strip search. That's what he looks up. And boom, got a bunch of hit from all kinds of restaurants and other establishments that this has happened at. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? He said that they were all the same, and this guy even used the same name, Officer Scott, in some of the cases, but they all had the exact MO. Same thing. So we go to a McDonald's in Georgia. An older custodian performed a cavity search on a young female employee. Taco Bell in Arizona, the manager picked out a customer that matched the description on the phone and searched her. Every restaurant you could think of had a case as early as 1994. Oh my gosh. It's now 2004. So he's like, oh crap, this isn't a payphone at the Winn-Dixie store across the street from our McDonald's. So this is a turning point in his career, and everyone was looking at him to solve this. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so a side note for us real quick. They show a map of all the McDonald's that were hit, and the McDonald's in Pendleton was hit. It was? It was. So, like, when we were younger, like, right down the street from us. Oh, my god. This happened. Actually, I think it was at a Wendy's or something. It could have been the McDonald's. I don't know. So, the same hoax over 10 years this has been going on. 69 restaurants. Buddy is back and says he was handed a case that was a monster and no one could solve it. But him. It was in his hands because he was fucking determined to solve this case. Okay, so they were afraid that this could still be happening. And they had this bad guy. They thought he could do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. He'd been doing it for 10 years and he was going to keep going. He was worried about a sexual predator on the loose. Like, what more is he doing? And someone needed to stop this guy. So Buddy knew he needed to understand this MO, so he started to dive into the cases from the past. So this is 1999, Blackfoot, Idaho, small farming town, pretty religious, and we see Elizabeth, and we're talking about her hometown. She was call hoax number 26. She said she always felt safe, and she said the caller targeted these certain places, small towns that would be more willing to believe authority figures. She said she was also raised to obey authority. She was 16 when she got this job. She was a great employee and was so excited to be making her own money. Like, how cute. Yeah. It's horrible. So December 16th, 1999, it was just a cold weeknight. Suddenly, she was called in the office by name. The manager told her that he was on the phone with an Officer Davis from the Blackfoot Police Department and stated that a woman was in the establishment earlier that evening and her purse was stolen and there was a $50 bill in it. And she knows one of the servers took it. She said she wouldn't have ever stolen anything. Quote unquote, this woman said it was a short blonde female server. So again, extremely vague. Mm-hmm. Giving very basic descriptions. So Elizabeth started stating that, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do anything. No matter what she said, the officer had a reasonable, logical answer for everything she said. He wanted the clothes removed piece by piece, starting with shoes, then her pants, then her shirt, one item at a time, lots of talk in between. The caller must have loved the progression of this, loved it. So he starts slowly seeing how much he can reel in, and get them to do more and more and bigger things.
Basically, how far he can make them go.
Exactly. So Elizabeth was getting hysterical at this point, and she says that she was pleading that this isn't right. This is not right. This seemed to anger the caller. And he started having the manager describe her body to him, what everything looked like, even her bra size. She snatched the phone from her manager and asked what her bra size could possibly have anything to do with some allegedly stolen cash. Yes, girl. Thank you. She was pissed and didn't feel like she had the power to just get the fuck out of there. She just didn't feel like she could do that. Then one of her coworkers came by and could tell something was off. So we meet Derek. He joins in. Again, 1999. Jobs are limited in the small area town that he was in. So he got a job at a pizza parlor. He was 22 at the time, and most of the wait staff was under 18. So he came in that night and said that he knew right away that something had happened. So he asked the cook what was going on because he saw no wait staff whatsoever. It was just the cook making pizzas, and they were piling up. There were to-go orders that were stacking up breadsticks for days, he said. And she said that something was going on in the office. So he goes toward the office and said he saw his manager, and he will never forget the amount of sweat running off of this man, apparently. He said he had never seen anything like it. He also sees a young lady being strip searched and says, "What the fuck are you doing?" Then the manager's like, "There's a cop on the phone. I'm doing a strip search for the police." Derek snatches the phone, says, "Who is this?" The guy says this is an officer from the Blackfoot Police Department. He said he sounded cool, calm, collected, like he did it every day. Then he says, the guy on the phone says to Derek, "You of all people should know this manager should not be strip searching a female employee, especially a minor." And Derek's like, "Okay, we need to get the real police here." And the guy hangs up. So Elizabeth comes back on and says how grateful she is for his intervention, and but the fact that it took an outsider to witness what was happening, to speak out,
and a child himself.
Exactly. Derek was also pissed, and obviously Elizabeth too. So Derek says that in 1999 he thought the manager was for sure part of it. For sure.
Yeah.
He said, but then learning how many times it had happened and for how long across several states, there's just no way that he could have been involved.
His manager was just dumbass.
Exactly. Just like Walter and fucking Donna.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that any victims were in on it either, but they were just taken advantage of. So Elizabeth's back, and she says that she went home and wrote everything she could remember down. One thing that she wrote down was, quote, "He just threatened and told me I could get in serious law trouble. Then he had me remove my pants. I felt incredibly violated and that he was disgracing my body." And she said that writing that was really hard for her. She learned that this wasn't a priority for the police, and they weren't going to put any extra resources into finding this guy. So this is happening all the time, and this guy is just getting away with it. Are police even investigating it? Was everyone reporting this? So Buddy's back, and he says this time they have proof that this happened. They have it on video, his case in his hometown in Kentucky. And none of the other cases did. So none of the other cases were on video. So at this point, he thought he was all alone. He thought he was the only person that was investigating this whatsoever. So now we're in 2004 in West Bridgewater, Massachusetts at Wendy's. He hit 4 Wendy's locations near this one town and tricked managers into giving illegal strip searches. And in one case, a female manager was tricked into sexually assaulting a male server. And we meet Victor Flaherty, and he is a detective sergeant. So he's just talking about how horrible this all is, and if it happened to his child, how outraged he would be. He treats all cases as if it's his family, so he's fucking pissed and intrigued at the time, or intrigued as well because of how bizarre the nature of this is. He usually handles drug cases, and now he's tracking a hoax caller, so he's like kind of like, hell yeah, you know.
Yeah.
He has no ideas, no suspects, doesn't know what he's gonna do. So,
that would be super hard.
it would be so, like, overwhelming, because where the fuck do you start?
Yeah.
It's
someone over the phone.
Yeah.
And these people are doing, I can't wrap my head around
I know.
that.
I know.
These adult people.
I know. Okay, so Buddy's back. And other than this video, he has no other pieces of evidence until they Star 69 that shit.
I remember Star 69.
Heck yeah. And that was actually an employee's idea. So yay, employee. So they had the number. So Buddy says if they didn't have this number in this case, it would be dead in the dirt. So yay for that employee. It was his idea. So he calls the number, busy signal, calls again, busy signal. He didn't have a lot of help and nothing to go on. So Victor is back and basically saying the exact same thing Buddy is. It's a needle in a haystack. They don't know where to begin. And they think, both of them each think that they are working the case alone. I mean, he didn't have anything to go on, but he was going to catch him. Like, both Victor and Buddy are determined at this point to catch him. So the first lead in the case was phone records for the locations that were hit. They are all fake, so they still have nothing. Buddy gets on the phone with AT&T to see if he can get any information, and he was on the phone for like an hour and a half. And he's on the phone with this lady, and she says I think these might be our calling cards. So Buddy's excited now. He knows the calling cards are coming from AT&T. He doesn't know shit about calling cards though, and no one else in that area did either. Like, small town again. And they'd never had a case like this, or a case that dealt with calling cards. So he kind of has to educate himself. And so he has to find how to track a prepaid calling card. So we're back to Victor. Victor's also calling AT&T, and he gets someone on the phone, and he says he needs to know the originating calling numbers for these calls, and she said they can't be traced. So he's like, that makes no sense.
It's just so funny when things like that come up from like the past.
I know.
Because now
it's so easy.
You can do anything.
Absolutely.
Now.
There's no way this shit would happen now.
No way.
Especially with how people are, they'd be like, no, bye.
Yeah.
Because people, especially phone call fraud scam shit, like, that's so common now.
Yeah.
And it probably was at the time, but, again, this was like before really the internet caught on and smartphones were a thing, and like people didn't communicate across the country or across the world.
Well, it's just weird because 2007, that doesn't seem that far away.
It wasn't that long ago.
And from 2007 to now,
I know.
It's like totally different.
It's a different world, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got so many people. That's all they do is their phones.
Absolutely.
There's video everywhere. Everywhere.
Yep.
You can do anything. You can find anything.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy. Okay. So, Victor stumped. He doesn't know what to do now. He says that doesn't make any sense. You should be able to track, where these calls are coming from. But he says he was chasing a voice on the phone, but actually he was chasing an unknown phone number because he never actually heard the voice. So dead end after dead end, frustration after frustration, he was going to do whatever he needed to do to catch this guy, though. He is a bad guy. He doesn't know if he will try anything next. He doesn't know if he's doing other things other than these calls. So Buddy's determined to get somewhere with this case. So we're back to Victor. He's making so many phone calls, and he's talked to Michelle from AT&T, and he's like, I talk to Michelle more than my wife at this point. He's talking to her all the time. And she keeps telling him they can't be traced. They can't be traced. Okay, so he's making Michelle seem like not very helpful at this point. But then she finds out, and even the public doesn't know this, but after 9/11, the calling cards were now traceable. So anything he did after 9/11, they would be able to trace the call. And the call is coming from inside the house. I'm just kidding. No, they're calling from Panama City, Florida.
Florida.
Of course, yes. So now we're in Florida, and now Buddy knows where the calls are originating from. Very excited. Still coming from payphones, though, and numerous people use those every day, like at this point still. So Victor also knows what payphones are used and what times they were used and where this guy has been, but that's it. No actual guy. So again, back to square one, finding an actual suspect. So he talks to the local PD, and they said that they have been getting multiple calls about hoaxes coming from that area. And that's how Victor learns that there are multiple cases with the same MO, and he's shocked. So at this point, he didn't even know that there were, places outside of his area that were getting calls like these. So he thinks this guy has practiced so much doing this and has learned what worked, what didn't, and he got better at it, and then it became like a drug, like he needed it. And he didn't actually think he was a cop. However, he did get the last 4 out of 4 calls to do awful things. So he's definitely getting better.
I just can't get over that.
I know, it's insane. Especially these older people, like at that point in your life, you have got to start, like you have to think in a process. Like, okay, so there's a guy on the phone saying he's a police officer. Let's think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Like you don't think like that. Like you just like, oh, okay. Like
I could see a police officer calling somebody.
Sure.
And maybe checking something.
Or saying, hey, do you have an employee that matches this description?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you keep that employee at the restaurant until we get there?
Yes.
Period.
They're not going to sit there and have you strip search somebody.
And they can't actually have you imprison them in the restaurant.
No.
So, like, it's
that is against the law, I'm sure.
It is. That's false
Keeping
imprisonment.
someone trapped somewhere.
It is. 100%.
Just because there's a voice on the other end of the phone.
I know. This is fucking crazy. Okay, so now we're talking to Elizabeth again, and she's talking about how fucking embarrassing it was. Just the whole thing that, she thought that at that point she was the only one that this had happened to. She totally fell for it. Like, everybody fell for it, and she was just embarrassed. But then, she did find that it had happened to several other people, and it did make her feel a little bit better, Misery loves company.
Yes.
But also still absolutely disgusting. Like, she can't believe it. So Buddy needed to know that this wasn't going to happen anymore. He needed to stop it. And Victor is also at a standstill, but neither one of them are giving up. So now he needs to buckle down and identify where the calling cards are from. And he figures out that they were bought at Walmart, of course.
Damn Walmart.
In Florida.
Panama
City.
Walmart. Those 2 words are like,
oh, yikes.
The same.
Yeah. And they were purchased on February 19th. I did find out like a while back that I meant to bring up. Apparently, Florida, their newspapers do not go by the same laws as the rest of the country. That's why they can report such crazy fucking news.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Huh.
Thought I'd bring that up. Okay, anyway. So
it might not just be Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just they're not following the same laws as the rest of the country.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Learn something every day, don't you? We're probably all just as fucked as Florida.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so Victor's really hoping that this is a big break, and they needed it. It's a big company. Big companies have fucking cameras. So he calls Walmart, gets passed around from person to person until one guy says, yeah, I can totally fucking get you that. He gets him the tape, and it was not what he was expecting at all. So this tape was probably used over 6 months, several, locations in the store. So it's just like the flashing departments, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, and no cameras at the registers.
Oh, man.
So it wouldn't work. So Buddy's back, and he actually calls Victor. So him and Victor get together. Victor says he knew right away he wasn't from Boston, because Victor's from Boston, and Buddy has a bit of a Southern accent. So he was actually surprised that someone else had gotten as far as he did, because Victor and Buddy are like both just as determined to find this guy as the other one. So they're just as invested, and they were both so happy to find each other and, someone that was just as invested as they were.
Mm-hmm.
So Victor starts sharing with Buddy that he can trace the calling cards, the originating numbers, and Buddy said that he started the call like they were not going to solve this at all, but ended the call like, oh, fucking yeah, we're going to solve this. So they're excited. Vic calls AT&T and starts to tell Michelle about Buddy's case, which was even more horrific than the ones they had already talked about. And she tells them that those calling cards were purchased from a different Walmart location than the original ones. So he calls the Walmart, and the first thing he asks is, do you have register cameras? And they say yes.
Woohoo!
So next week, tune in to the second part of our happy hour, and we will see if we catch this guy or find any suspects whatsoever. So unbelievable.
Is it even a crime? I mean, obviously it so okay. So this guy, basically all he's doing is talking people into doing.
Yes.
Now he's impersonating a cop, which is against the law.
Yes.
But is anything else he's doing
actually illegal?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
It seems to me like the only really illegal part is these dumbasses that are doing what he says.
Well, and like I said, we'll get into there's several trials there. We'll get into that, and we'll talk about it. There's also a study that was done a long time ago that is extremely interesting. We're going to meet more victims. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is fucking crazy. And I mean, oh my God, I don't know. But also, I do want to just reiterate the fact that the whole thing is fucking infuriating. Every bit of it. So take that as you will.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this was definitely crazy. It was not what I was expecting. And, you might also second guess where you purchase your fast food going forward too after next week, because if you go to McDonald's, you might want to rethink that, because they're all pieces of shit. Oh, God. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. The whole thing's just fucked up, and it makes you so mad. And it's unbelievable how stupid people can be, and how they don't think things through and process things, and just hesitate for a second and think this is wrong. What moral?
Like I said, when it gets to the part where they're making you take your clothes off at work.
Yeah, no.
That should be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'll wait for the cops to get here.
Exactly.
Because that's fucking bullshit.
I know. Yeah. The whole thing, my mouth was hanging open the entire time. It was crazy.
Well, you definitely picked a good one.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoy it. We do still need your stories, so you can send those in, ghouls.nightoutpodcast@gmail.com. You can look us up on Facebook and request to join the group, even though we don't check it ever.
Never on Facebook.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was for years, but now it's very, very not often. But yeah, go ahead and do that. And we'll talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye.